Hello, Heidi Lynn from Harnessing Life here. Today I'm going to be talking about how to stop the cycle of abuse in relation to physical abuse. Before I get into the specifics, and this is really just one tiny portion of how to stop the cycle, there's so much out there, so many options. I'm just going to talk about one idea, one part. But I do want to mention that trauma, any kind of trauma, can impact every different level of the brain and the nervous system, as well as your body. So it's not just housed in one certain part, like where your reasoning happens. It's everywhere throughout your body. And that's important to remember, because if you want to heal from trauma and if you want to stop the cycle, then there's so many ideas out there and so many therapies and so many tips and tricks, but it has to help your body as well as your brain as well as your mind. So something to think about. Also, trauma doesn't really sit in any certain place for any certain person, but the overarching theme is that it sits in your automatic reactions, it sits in your disposition, and it also sits in how you view the world. And so those are things that you can work with when thinking about healing from trauma. So, the one thing that I wanted to talk about is how you can undo or unlearn the impact of trauma. And with any sort of trauma, when something happens, there's a wiring that happens in your brain. This happens and that, your brain detects that as fear or as trauma, and so it'll wire you to automatically respond in this way. But if you take that automatic response and you do the opposite, it can rewire your brain in a different way and will be able to change your automatic response. Just for a simple example, maybe you grew up in a situation where you were taught that you were helpless or couldn't defend yourself. And then when you grow up, you take something like Taekwondo or martial arts class and learn how to defend yourself. That can be pretty unique, and that can be an experience that someone has, a physical experience. And that act alone of doing the opposite of what your brain has been wired to think that it can't defend itself, you do the opposite and you start to realize, oh wow, I can beat the crap out of anybody I want anytime. I can totally defend myself, right? Not that you want to, but when you learn that in your brain, it starts to rewire itself. So think about your trauma, think about your experiences, and what would help you in your journey that is the opposite of what you've already learned. If you have a reaction to something that you want to change, an automatic reaction like a trigger, think about what is opposite of that maybe you could incorporate in your life to help you rewire your brain. So I hope that was helpful to you, and I hope you learned something. Please feel free to like or share, and I'll see you in the next video. Take care.